So the institutional framework of arbitration globally is significant not just because of technological developments that it takes account of, but because it's very much at the cutting edge of dispute resolution, and the institutions are well resourced and they can investigate best practice and latest developments. So far as remote hearings are concerned, all of the major institutions, ICC, LCIA, ICSID, DIAC, SIAC, HKIAC, they've all had provision that permits remote hearings, and indeed in the case of the ICC and the LCIA, it's effectively the default mechanism which can only be overridden by party agreement or by the arbitrators requiring a physical hearing. In 2021, ICCA, which is the International Council of Commercial Arbitration, commissioned various country reports on the right to a physical hearing in arbitration. And they got reports from about 70 countries, including from Pakistan. And the general consensus, their report was actually published very recently on the 19th of May, is that there is no right to a physical hearing worldwide in arbitration, just as there is no right to a physical hearing in most courts. And most courts are now also having live streaming of their hearings, or remote hearings, or witness determined by video links, and so too in arbitration. So the remote hearing, I think, was here to stay, and I think it would make a big difference to the green element of arbitration, because you don't have thousands of pages of documents necessary. It'll all be done electronically. You don't have the costs of air travel and the carbon emissions associated with that. You don't have the increased costs of hotel stay, and so on. So, to some extent, it may have a small impact on the local economy, where you're not having all the arbitrators and witnesses flying in, stay in hotels and so on. But at the same time, it improves the costs and the efficiency of arbitration. And personally, I think the main objection to it, which is that I think it's very important to follow the various protocols that there are. There are Ciarb guidelines on remote hearings, which are very generalist in terms. They have a 90-point checklist of necessary features for a remote hearing to be successful and effective, a lot of which is common sense. A witness in a room where there's no interference with the witness, secure internet connections, stable internet, and so on. But if you're not following the protocol, and the arbitrators haven't devised one, it becomes effectively a very Wild West sort of situation where you don't know who is with the witness, you don't know whether documents are going to be presented on time and how they're going to be presented, and so on. So you can't just have a remote hearing without a framework for it. And there are a number of most of the major arbitration institutions that issued protocols for remote hearings. The ICC has, KCAD have, and there is a SIL protocol as well, emanating from Korea, which sets out the technical standards that we should be using for remote hearings, which is far too complicated for me to explain to you now, but in terms of the audio and the visual technical standards that you should be compliant with. So it's important to comply with these protocols, but I think they are now sufficient in number. And even the idea of using evidence, 2020, I didn't say that if you're going to have a remote hearing, you should have a protocol in place to deal with it.